Okay, it's 5 o'clock on April 3rd, 2025. I'd like to call the Board of Adjustments to order. First, I'd like to welcome Chair Clark. She is on Zoom tonight. Can you hear us, Jen?
I can. Thank you.
First order of business is to approve the minutes of the March 6th meeting. Mr. Wangler.
Read through them, and on page 7 of 41, down at the bottom, I think it's just a typo, but it says they were asking for an additional 16 square feet, and I think it's 16 linear feet is what they were looking to move out. So it's just I think it's just a typo error there,
Okay.
but it's not the 16, and with that change, I would move to approve.
All right. Do you have a second?
Second it.
Any other discussion besides the amendment? None, call the roll.
Board Member Wangler,
Yes.
Board Member Jansen,
Yes.
Board Member Wolf,
Yes.
Board Member Clark,
Yes.
and Chair Seifert.
Yes. Our next order of business is a thing that was tabled at the last meeting, the Wachter 7th edition, Block 3, Lot 1 variance. And Jenny.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Seifert. Board members, Grant Helm is requesting a variance from Section 140437 of the City Code of Ordinances, our R5 residential front yard requirement for his property on Lot 1, Block 3, Wachter 7th Edition, to reduce the required front yard setback. The proposed variance is located in South Bismarck, south of East Bismarck Expressway, and west of South Washington Street in the southeast quadrant of the intersection of Cologne Drive and South Reno Drive. At your meeting last month, you tabled the variance request to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 16 feet for this property in order to provide the applicant additional time to review building plans and reduce or negate the proposed variance. The applicant has confirmed with staff that he has altered his building plans and is proposing to reduce his initial variance request. The revised request is to reduce the required front yard setback located along the north side of his property from 25 feet to 20 feet. The public was notified of this request, and 48 postcards were sent to the owners of nearby properties on February 21st. Since that time, we received just the one phone call prior to the meeting last month, just an inquiry. One said they were not in favor, and the other said that they had no preference. Pursuant to Section 140602 of our Code of Ordinances, you may adjust the strict application of any of the requirements in the zoning ordinance in case of an exceptionally irregular or narrow, shallow, or steep lot, or exceptional physical or topographical conditions by reason of which the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship that would deprive the owner of a reasonable use of land or building involved, but in no other case. No adjustment in the strict application of any provisions of the zoning ordinance shall be granted by the Board of Adjustment unless it finds the following: that there are special circumstances or conditions that apply to the land or buildings that do not apply generally to land or buildings within the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant, that the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of said land or building, that granting the variance is necessary for the reasonable use of land or building, and that the variance as granted by the board is the minimum variance that will accomplish the relief sought by the applicant. That the grant of this variance will be in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. The applicant has submitted a written statement of hardship that identifies their anticipated hardship and explains why they believe the variance should be granted. This document was included in your packet. If you choose to approve the variance as proposed, staff asks that you identify a hardship and modify the review standards or findings outlined in your staff report to support your decision. Do you have questions?
Any questions for Ms. Wilmoth? I guess not.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe this is a public hearing. Is anyone wishes to speak on this or against it? Has the owner got any more to add?
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Grant Helm, the owner. I guess because it is a really narrow lot, we did move the variance idea down. This would still give us very adequate usage of the garage for the means of what we're trying to do without trying to do a third stall. So this was kind of the maximum that we would need to do it. So that is the idea behind it, I guess. So that's why the variance was changed down to 5. So, do you have any questions for me on it?
Any questions for Mr. Hyman?
Yeah, still, I'm assuming you're still putting a second level?
Yes.
Over this part and over the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're trying to avoid going into the backyard because we really want having that yard for our 3 kids. And because it is so narrow, that's kind of why we're still trying to go this direction, because it is a very narrow lot. And it's nice having that for the kids that do like to play soccer and things like that. So it's kind of what we use it for in the summertime.
Second question, I'm assuming that the trees will stay in place
Yes.
even with this addition?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Grant? Guess not. Or Rick, go ahead.
Yeah, do you know the depth of your lot?
How actual depth that direction?
Yeah, from the front to the back property line? I mean, from, I guess, what street would that be? Yeah,
Yeah, clone.
It, from the sidewalk over to the house is 25 feet, and from from the other side, or the full length.
well, the full depth, or, you know, I guess what I'm really curious on is the depth from your back of your house to the property line?
It's probably going to be right around that 25, 30 feet.
Okay.
But it's that way along the entire house, so that's why it's nice having that as a soccer field without building back into it and shortening how much room the kids actually play in that area the most.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Yes.
If I may, board members, just a quick measurement from the rear property line along the east side of the property, or the side yard, we could call it. It's about 30 feet to the home.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Holman? I guess not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak on this public hearing? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Wangler?
I think we discussed this at the last meeting.
Turn your
but-
microphone down, please.
I think we discussed this at the last meeting, but if that house, or when that house was built, it could have gotten to within 20 feet of that north side because that was considered the setback on a side yard. Is that true?
Board Member Wangler, the property was platted in 1978. That requirement that you had mentioned, that a side yard adjacent to a street that is not the main front yard the setback would be 20 feet. However, the house was built in 1979, so there's kind of a little bit of overlap there.
Okay. And then, but I think it also says that with the, let's see, if there was adjacent properties built closer to the standard 25, the contextual setback could be used, but none of the other houses are at 20 feet going down, what is it, Cologne?
Sure. Thank you, Board Member Wengler. That is an excellent question. You're right. Since the property was platted prior to 1979, they could use the contextual setback if there was a little bit of deviation between properties adjacent to. However, when we looked and measured that, those properties are roughly at 25 feet as well.
Thank you.
And if I could make a correction in my statement, the property was platted in 1976, not 78. My age probably makes me need to get bifocals soon, so.
Okay. Mr. Wolf? We will need a motion either way.
I guess for sake of this discussion, I'll move to approve based on an unusually shallow lot depth from the front to the rear.
Okay. And then- It'll be in harmony with the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think we struggle a little bit with the provisions from the contextual or in context with the surrounding structures, but I think it's in general harmony with the neighborhood. Yes.
Okay.
I would second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion to approve and a second. Any other discussion from the board? Seeing none, we will take roll.
Board Member Wengler,
Yes.
Board Member Jansen,
Yes.
Board Member Wolf,
Yes.
Board Member Clark,
Yes.
and Chair Seifert.
Yes. Variance is approved. So. Okay, next on our agenda is Trillium Third Edition, Second Replat Block 1-2. Credit Union. Jenny, a sign.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Board members, Railway Credit Union is requesting a variance from Section 1403.01, 08.3D of the City Code of Ordinances, signs, commercial zoning district standards for on-premise advertising signs, to increase the allowable area of an electronic message center sign from 32 square feet to 45 square feet. The proposed variance is located in southeast Bismarck, south of East Bismarck Expressway and east of South 26th Street, in the southeast quadrant of the intersection of Rock Island Place and Burlington Drive. The zoning ordinance makes provisions for EMC signs or electronic message center signs according to roadway type and visibility from roadways. This request is located on a property that is at the intersection of two local roadways, Burlington Drive and Rock Island Place. The maximum area of an EMC sign located to these types of roadways is 32 square feet. This limit has been in our zoning ordinance since approximately 2008. The public has been notified of this request. 9 postcards were mailed to the owners of nearby properties on March 21st. We received 1 phone inquiry, neither for or against, or just curious about the project. The applicant's consultants are here this evening and have additional information to present to you, but before they do, we'll go through the findings outlined in your staff report. Reminding you that no adjustment in the strict application of any provisions of the zoning ordinance shall be granted by the board unless it finds the following: that there are special circumstances or conditions that do not apply generally to land or buildings within the neighborhood and have not resulted from any act of the applicant, that the strict application of the provisions of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of said land or building, the granting of the variance is necessary for the reasonable use of land or building, and that the variance as granted by the board is the minimum variance that will accomplish the relief sought by the applicant. That the grant of the variance will be in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to public welfare. Again, the applicant did submit a written statement of hardship that anticipates their hardship and explains why they would like the variance granted. That document was included in your packet. If you choose to if you choose to approve the variance as proposed, staff asks that you identify a hardship, modify the findings or standards contained in your staff report to support your decision. Again, the applicant and their consultant are here this evening should you have additional questions.
Thanks. Any questions for Jen? I guess I have one. So no matter where they would put that sign, it still wouldn't be in compliance on the property?
So the request this evening is the size. So they
Right.
could place it throughout the property. The size sign
Size
is the
is
request.
still not going
yeah.
to matter no matter if they move back.
Correct.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any other questions? Guess not.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Is the applicant, anyone here to speak on behalf of the, state your name and that's no.
My name is Dan Schaff. I'm with HTG Architects in representation of Railway Credit Union. There has been some new developments have arisen in the last couple of days. We would ask of the board to table this until next month. There's a few things that have come up that may decide or change the size of that message center now. So that's our request at this point, is if you could table it for a month. We have some things to work out yet that we thought we had worked out, if that's a possibility. And we apologize for your time in the delay with this.
Okay, and that's something doable?
Board members, yes, if you choose to table, that would be fine. We would hear it again next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wishes of the board? We'd have to have a motion to that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Yes.
is there any other member of the public there to testify?
Is there anybody else here that would like to speak on this? I'm seeing none, Jen.
Okay, thank you. I would move that we table this until a future meeting.
We have a
I'll second it.
motion and a second to table. Any discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Board Member Wengler,
Yes.
Board Member Jansen,
Yes.
Board Member Wolf,
Yes.
Board Member Clark,
Yes.
and Chair Seibert.
Yes. We'll see you next time. Okay. With that, is there any other business of any of the board members? Seeing none, we'll close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.